Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this year's pre-departure briefing for Singaporean students planning to study in the UK. Thank you for joining us this evening. I hope you're all well. My name is Lissy Vadakale, and I'm the Head of Education at British Council Singapore. I'm delighted to welcome you to this evening session. You are all embarking on an exciting new chapter in your student life, and we are here to support you on that journey. This evening, we will be covering practical information and guidance on how to prepare for your upcoming studies and what you can expect from UK higher education at this time. On our panel this evening, we are pleased to be joined by Lucy Watkins, British Council Regional Director, East Asia and Country Director, Singapore. Kitty Jones, British Council Study UK Stakeholder and Communications Manager. Vivian Yu, Customer Account Manager working for the UK Visas and Immigration in the region. Darren Xiao, President of the United Kingdom Singapore Students' Council. Bao Hui Huang, Regional Director of the Singapore Global Network. And Guan Cheng Li, Assistant Vice President, HSBC Bank, Singapore Limited. Before we get started, a quick note on how you can interact with our panelists during the session. Please type your questions into the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to put them to the panel during the Q&A session at the end of today's webinar. If you see a question that you would also wish to hear the answer to, please like it. This will help me choose the more popular questions later on during the Q&A session. Do note that we will be recording this session. To begin this evening session, I'm very pleased to introduce to you all Ms. Lucy Watkins, our Regional Director for East Asia and Country Director for British Council Singapore, who will provide this evening's opening address. Over to you, Lucy.
Thank you, Lissy. Hello, everyone, and a huge welcome to today's pre-departure briefing. My name is Lucy Watkins, and I'm the Regional Director for British Council for East Asia, and as Lissy mentioned, I'm also the Country Director for British Council here in Singapore. It's fantastic to see that we're joined today by so many students and parents. Thank you for taking the time to attend this session on a Friday evening. We're so pleased that you've chosen the UK as your study destination. I really do believe that Singaporean students who choose to study in the UK are the backbone to Singapore-UK relations and help to build mutual trust and understanding between our two countries. Every year, close to 8,000 Singaporean students now choose to study in the UK, making it one of the most popular study destinations for the country's students. Many Singaporeans who are leaders in their fields have undergone a UK education, and half of Singapore's current cabinet have in fact studied in the UK, which is a fantastic statistic. So it's a source of great pride to us that so many young people from Singapore have made and are making the decision to study in the UK. UK universities really value the diversity and academic contribution that Singaporean students bring to the UK. The international connections forged by Singaporean students enrich the UK's academic life and communities across the UK. Above all, long-term trust and understanding and friendship is built from those people-to-people connections that you will make. This is an exciting time for you all, as Lissy said. You'll never forget your time studying in the UK with great experiences and friendships that will last a lifetime. With a global reputation for research and academic excellence, the UK is the perfect place to discover your talents. Academics and employers across the world admire and respect the formidable reputation of the UK's education system, and our graduates are amongst the most employable in the world. That's because our universities and colleges consistently top world rankings. 2 of the world's top 10 universities can be found in the UK, and a further 26 of our universities and colleges are amongst the world's 200 best institutions for learning. So this is why the UK is one of the most popular destinations in the world, and a place where your well-being is also a top priority. And so you'll feel safe and secure as you meet students from every country. You'll make important friendships and learn about hundreds of other cultures, all in the home of the English language. So whether it's your first time in our welcoming, beautiful country or simply your first time away from home, this is your chance to fall in love with the UK's rich traditions, modern attitudes and our exceptional cultural scene. There are so many things to discover in the UK at the same time as you study. Studying a new course and moving overseas is a significant undertaking though, and we know that you will have lots of questions. Today's session is a great opportunity for you to hear from our Study UK team, from the UK Visas and Immigration, from the UK Singapore Students' Council and the Singapore Global Network about some of the great things you need to prepare for, as well as what to expect from your UK studies. We do appreciate that the current situation in the UK and indeed all over the world continues to remain fluid, and we hope to address as many of your queries today as we can. I would like to assure you, though, that all our UK universities are preparing to welcome new students in autumn 2021. And while it's hard to predict what the health situation will look like in September, the current rules in the UK mean that universities can teach all classes in person. Travel within the UK is allowed, and many cultural and hospitality venues are open. The UK Government has provided guidance to universities on how to operate safely, and universities have taken a range of measures for campuses and accommodation to be COVID secure. So in the UK, I think you can see that your well-being comes first. So a very warm welcome is awaiting each and every one of you. I hope that the UK's open and inclusive way of life will inspire you. Our rich cultural history will fire your imagination, and that you'll be able to develop your best and brightest ideas by studying in the UK. So finally, I wish you all the very best with your studies, and I hope you find the rest of this session useful to help to prepare you for this next very exciting phase of your student life. Thank you very much. Back to you, Lissy.
Thank you very much, Lucy. I'd like to now introduce Ms. Kitty Jones from Study UK, who will share with us key information on preparing for your studies and on life as a student in the UK. Kitty, over to you.
Thanks, Lucy, and hi, everyone. So firstly, just want to echo what Lucy said and really welcome you all to the UK and to this event. As Lucy said, a really warm welcome is waiting for you here, and I hope that your UK study experience will be a positive one that will put you on the path to your bright future. Sandra, you can just, next slide, and I think go to the next one after that, and actually the next one after that as well, I think. Yeah, so if we move on one more. Okay, great. So just to give a quick overview, as many of you will know, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is made up of 4 nations: England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. The capital cities are London, Edinburgh, Belfast and Cardiff, and the main language spoken in the UK is English, but you may also hear Scots, Gaelic and Welsh. The currency is the pound. Just as an overview, England accounts for just over half of the UK's total size, whereas Scotland accounts for about a third of it. Wales accounts for just under a tenth of the UK's total population size. And Northern Ireland is separated from the other parts of the UK by the Irish Sea and accounts for just under 6% of its total size. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Sandra. You can go to the next slide. Just wanted to add that the UK is a very tolerant country where all ways of life are respected. In fact, it is against the law to discriminate against anyone because of their race, nationality or religion. With a history of multiculturalism dating back hundreds of years, the UK has a well-established communities representing all students and a deep commitment to supporting students' religious and cultural needs on campus. One of the reasons international students feel especially at home in the UK is the diversity of universities. 20% of academic staff in the UK are from overseas, meaning you'll be connecting with people from all over the world, no matter what you choose to study. And I hope this helps to reassure anyone about any concerns that they might have. Next slide, please, Sandra, thanks. So to help your preparation and to put plans in place to travel to the UK, we strongly advise you to stay in touch with your university and listen to their advice. If you are able to travel now or in the coming months, this information will help you to feel prepared and to plan ahead. Thanks. If you can move on to the next slide, thanks. So your place of study should have sent you lots of information, and I'd advise you to read it all really carefully, and we'd recommend that you start making preparations as soon as you can to travel and move to the UK. So the information from your university might include information on practical skills, academic matters, language and cultural preparation, arrival in the UK, as well as advice on immigration, managing your money, health and guidance for students with disabilities. You will be given deadlines for confirming services such as accommodation, meet and greet, orientation briefings, and emergency numbers to use should you require assistance on your journey. So make sure that you have a copy of your offer letter, known as your Confirmation of Acceptance for Studies, or CAS, as well as the details for your university or institution. Thanks. You can move on to the next slide. So this is just a checklist of things to arrange before you leave Singapore, before travelling to the UK. So this includes arranging your visa and passport, details relating to your BRP, which you will collect once you arrive in the UK, your flight to the UK, complying with any travel restrictions that are in place due to COVID, which I'll go on to talk a bit more about in a minute. Accommodation, so please ensure you have your address written down, as you will need to show this at the border. And your travel insurance. So you should take out travel insurance to cover your journey to the UK, and this will cover you in case of emergencies. We'd also recommend arranging medical insurance. So only if you're coming for less than 6 months or a visitor visa and you don't have the option of applying for the immigration health surcharge, which comes under your visa. Your university or college should have sent you information about arrival, including a phone number, so keep this with you when you travel. Thanks. If you could move on to the next slide. I just wanted to mention a free online course that we have available for you to use. So under Study UK, we run this free online course for offer holders of UK universities. The course teaches you everything you need to know about UK higher education, including teaching methods, course structures, and how coursework will be assessed. And you can interact with other people on the course. So you can search for it on FutureLearn. I won't go into any more detail on it now, but that course is there and it's really helpful for you to prepare for your academic studies. Next slide, please. So this section will cover travelling to the UK. We'll first go through what to pack before looking in more detail at the travel restrictions in place due to COVID. Next slide, please. So what to pack in your main luggage. So you should ensure that you have suitable clothing for the season that you will arrive. So autumn is September to November, winter is December to February, spring is March to May, and summer is June to August. You may want to take a few sets of formal or traditional wear with you. If you take medication, remember to make sure you have enough to take with you. You will be able to arrange a new prescription once you've registered with a doctor in the UK, but just ensure that you have enough to carry you through the first couple of months. Just to add that you may not need to pack a winter coat in your main luggage. They do take up a lot of space and there'll be lots of options for buying one when you arrive in the UK. Next slide, please. So in your carry-on luggage, you should make sure that you have your passport and your visa, your travel ticket and departure details, the offer letter from your university, known as your CAS, confirmation of your accommodation and medical insurance if you have it, copies of your bank drafts and information, contact details for your university, information about your airport or train station where you're arriving into, and money to cover your immediate needs. We wouldn't recommend bringing large amounts of cash with you, but just make sure that you have enough to cover you on arrival. Next slide, please. It's just really important to note that you shouldn't pack the following items. So anything banned or restricted, so drugs, weapons, indecent or obscene materials, pepper spray or counterfeit goods, and all meat and dairy products. You shouldn't bring any of these with you, including milk and dairy products, potatoes, fruit and vegetables, egg, fish and fishery products. There's more information on this on the gov.uk website. Next slide, please. So in this section, we're going to talk through preparing to travel to the UK and what you should do when you arrive. So you can move on to the next slide. It's really important that you keep checking the latest travel advice, even if you've already booked your flight. Remember that travel and quarantine rules are subject to change, so please continue to check the latest rules while you make your plans. And it's also really important that you stay in touch with your university for the latest information and support. The advice on entering the UK varies between the UK's 4 nations, so please do check the relevant advice for where you're travelling to, either England, Northern Ireland, Scotland or Wales. You may also be transiting through England to go on to Northern Ireland, Scotland or Wales, so it's important that you do check which rules you need to follow. We know how daunting that moving to another country can be, and I just want to really reassure you that universities are working hard to ensure that you know what to expect before you travel to the UK, and that you're welcomed and supported on arrival and throughout your time at university. So you can move on to the next slide. The UK is currently operating a traffic light system, as you might be aware, and Singapore is on the green list. So that's great because there's less restrictions, but there are still some measures that you need to follow in order to travel to the UK. So before departing, you have to complete a pre-departure test 3 days before the service on which you will arrive in England departs. You should also complete a passenger locator form, which details your accommodation and contact information. You should also book and pay for a travel test package. It's really important that you book this before you leave. It's not something you can book on arrival, and you have to have booked it before you fly to the UK. And then once you arrive, you have to take that pre-booked test 2 days after arriving. You don't need to isolate on arrival unless you test positive for COVID-19 following this post-departure test. So it doesn't look like Singapore will move to the amber list anytime soon, but just in case it does, the only real difference will be that you will need to isolate for 10 days in your accommodation on arrival, and you will also take an additional test as part of your travel testing package on days 2 and 8. So fingers crossed you stay on the green list, but just to note that there may be some additional measures, and do keep checking the latest information. There is plenty of support available for international students who arrive in the UK, and that's why it's really important for you to keep your university updated on your plans. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. So at the moment, face coverings are mandatory on public transport, so we'd recommend that you wear a face covering when you're travelling at all times. You should follow the arrival signs to immigration and passport control when you arrive, and after passing through immigration, move onwards to baggage reclaim to collect your luggage. You then move on to customs control and exit using the right lane, so that's either green if you have nothing to declare, or red if you have things to declare or you're not sure what you should declare. Thanks, you can move on to the next slide. So before you travel, do ensure that you have a contact number to hand in case you need assistance when you reach the UK. This should be the International Student Advisory Service at your place of study. If possible, also ensure that you have an emergency or out of hours contact number in case you arrive late or you have any difficulties in making your way to your institution. It is, as I've said, it's really important to keep your university informed of your plans. They will be able to offer additional support, such as some may offer transportation, and in case you need to self-isolate, they will support you through that as well. If you're making your own way to your university, there will be a number of transport options depending on how far your institution is from your airport, including bus, coach, train or tube. Taxis can be quite expensive, so do try and plan your journey before you arrive, or you can also speak to the information desk at the airport about the best options for your onward travel. Tickets for travel will accept payment by credit or debit card. You can also use the UK money that you've brought or withdraw cash from an ATM. Thanks, next slide, please. On arrival, you'll need to collect your biometric residence permit within 10 days of arrival, but you won't be penalised for being unable to collect it if you're self-isolating. You'll also need to register with the police when you arrive and register with your place of study, and your university will offer you lots more information on those things. Next slide, please. So I'm now going to talk through some of the things you might be wondering about living in the UK. Thanks, next slide, please. So the UK is a vibrant and cosmopolitan country with many traditions, customs, music, celebrations, accents, people to meet and places to visit, and I hope that you're able to discover all the UK has to offer. There'll be lots of people who will help you adjust to our way of life. Firstly, the staff at your university will be a good first point of contact and will offer you help and advice when you need it. So there'll be lots of things that you'll get used to, including the weather, which can be mixed. It's currently very sunny here. Summer has finally arrived in the UK, but it can be a bit hit and miss. So, there's sometimes rain in summer and, lots of different types of weather. You really do get it all here. So do pack for all weathers. You can move on to the next slide. Thanks. There's lots of options for travelling around the UK when you're here. Each city does have its own transport system, and your university will have lots of information about how to get around your local area. Local travel around the UK can be expensive, so it is worth checking which mode of transport is more economical. Buses and coaches tend to be cheaper than trains, but if you book early, you may benefit from some savings. It's usually cheaper to buy weekly or monthly travel passes rather than paying for single journeys. I know when I went to university in Manchester, I had a bus pass that was for the whole year, and that was much more valuable. So, but your institution will be able to provide you with some advice about travelling around your local area. Face coverings are currently mandatory on public transport in the UK. This might change from Monday because some restrictions are due to be lifted, but some areas such as London and Scotland have already announced that face coverings will still be mandatory, so it's worth carrying with you just in case when you're on public transport in the UK. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. In terms of accommodation options, you should think about your requirements before deciding what type of accommodation to choose. Universities do provide secure accommodation, but there are other options available depending on what suits you best. So you can consider the location. Accommodation might be cheaper if it's slightly further away from, for example, a city centre, but then you might have the additional travel costs. So it's just worth weighing those options up. You can check carefully any terms and conditions in the accommodation contract to ensure it covers the length of your time in the UK before you sign. But obviously private accommodation is available as well as the accommodation that the university offers. So it's just a question of doing your research, and there's more information on the Study UK website on all of that. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. I'm just going to touch a bit on managing your finances, although we do have a representative from HSBC here who will be able to answer more of your questions in more detail. So we do recommend opening a bank account when you first arrive in the UK. The UK has a number of different banks, and many have on-campus or university-based branches. Next slide, please. Your living costs will vary according to your type of accommodation, how much you travel, and where you live in the UK. So it's important that you have a realistic idea of what your living costs will be before you arrive here. Next slide, please. So while studying in the UK is good value for money, average living costs here are lower than in both the UK and Australia. You can expect to pay between around £800 and £1,300 a month to cover your rent, bills, food and other living costs. You could get a mobile phone contract for around £10 a month for SIM only. You could also buy pay as you go and add credit when you need to. You can expect to pay an average of around £2 to £3 for a cup of coffee from a high street cafe. If you want a gym membership, you can find those for about £30 or £40 a month. And there are other costs depending on where you study and live in the UK, with London in particular and other cities being more expensive. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. The UKSSC website has a section on cost of living and also has lots of money saving tips. So I do recommend visiting the UKSSC website for lots of information. And just to add, there are lots of student discounts in the UK. So do get an NUS card through your university when you arrive. This will give you discounts for shops, restaurant and activities such as the cinema. Thanks, next slide. So just to touch on some of the things around life in the UK. So students' unions at universities organise all kinds of social functions. There are many clubs and societies that you can join, and many UK universities have on-campus sports facilities as well as clubs and teams to join. Some UK universities have their own cinemas on campus, offering you the chance to watch the latest films at discounted prices. And these activities are all a great way to make friends because there'll be things that other students will be getting involved in. So I'd really recommend, looking into what clubs and societies your university has and making sure you get involved in those. Next slide, please. And then, of course, you know, outside of campus, outside your university, there's so much to explore in the UK, whether it's, you know, arts and culture, so the museums, theatres and other cultural attractions, music, there's some amazing music venues and festivals in the UK, cinemas, almost every town and city will have a cinema with films from around the world. And of course, sport. There's, you know, every kind of sport here, and many of our athletes and clubs are leaders in the world. So there's lots to explore depending on your interests. Obviously, COVID-19 restrictions may affect availability of some cultural activities, so do keep an eye on the latest guidance in your local area, as things may vary as to what's open and what's not. Thanks, next slide, please. So food and drink is obviously really important. It's important that you stay warm and healthy. If you're living in a catered hall of residence, you will be given a good diet, but you should also be careful to make sure that you eat enough fresh fruit and vegetables. If you have any dietary requirements, for example, due to religious or cultural reasons, just make sure that the catering authorities know about them. If you're cooking for yourself, eating healthy can be more difficult, especially if preparing your own meals is new to you. So just make sure that you're, you know, stocking up on a range of foods as often as you can. Most big towns have stores or areas where you can buy food from different parts of the world, so you may be able to find food that is familiar to you. It can also be fun experimenting with new and different types of food if you have the time. As a rule, supermarkets will be cheaper than the corner shop, and street markets will be cheaper than supermarkets. Vegetables that are in season are usually cheaper, and if sometimes you don't have the time or inclination to cook for yourself, there's always meals available at your university or students' union, and that will probably be the cheapest alternative to cooking for yourself. Some restaurants can be expensive, although there can be lots of deals, and local cafes can also be good value for money. There's lots of supermarkets that offer online delivery services, so you can search for the ones listed on the screen there. And you can also order food from local takeaways to be delivered to your accommodation. And we'd recommend using Deliveroo, Just Eat and Uber Eats. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. So I'm just going to talk about some of the changes to the study that we've been seeing because of COVID. And I'm just going to touch on this briefly. So thanks, you can move to the next slide. So I just want to reassure you that all UK universities have procedures in place to keep staff, students and local communities safe. Universities have measures in place to make sure campuses are clean and compliant with government guidelines. Information and guidance related to COVID-19 will vary across the 4 nations, so do visit the relevant pages for the part of the UK that you'll be studying in. Thanks, next slide please. So in terms of teaching, universities are very much open and preparing to welcome students for the start of the new academic year. They are preparing to deliver high quality teaching in line with government guidance that ensures the health and safety of everyone remains the top priority. The current rules in the UK mean that all universities can teach classes in person. Many universities will adopt a hybrid approach to teaching, with many smaller classes taught in person, but with some elements remaining online, such as larger lectures or large teaching facilities. UK universities are providing high quality and flexible options to international students. So you may be able to start your degree online and travel to the UK a bit later if you're worried about travelling to the UK just yet. So speak to your university because there are lots of options available to you. Thanks, next slide please. As mentioned, the health and safety of all international students is everyone's #1 priority, and universities are working to ensure that you are safe and supported. Some of the additional measures taken to support students during COVID-19 have included helplines for students that run all day and night, airport pickup services, free counselling and mental health support services, in addition to the tools that support online learning. Universities are also keen to support students' well-being, with many putting initiatives in place that have supported students to keep active and socialise safely. Thanks, next slide please. Yeah, you can move on. I'm just going to talk a bit about looking after yourself in the UK. So if you do run into trouble in the UK, there's a whole host of support available to you. Universities do have student wellbeing at their heart, and they provide holistic support for students. So in the first instance, it's good to contact your international office. You can also contact your tutor or supervisor for any academic issues that happen. Your students' union will also be a good place to contact if you need any support. And if it's related to your accommodation, the accommodation support officer will be able to help you as well. There's also some organisations that offer support and advice. In particular, UKSSC, the third one listed on the screen there, they have a helpline, so do get in touch with them if you have any issues and you're not sure where to go. Thanks, next slide please. So I just wanted to talk quickly about the NHS. So that's the UK's National Health Service, and that provides subsidised treatment and healthcare to international students. So as part of your visa application, you pay an immigration health surcharge, and this allows you to use the NHS for consulting your doctor, any accident and emergency services, diagnosis of any sexually transmitted diseases, and getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Thanks, next slide please. There are some parts of the NHS that you might have to pay for, so including some prescriptions, some eye tests, dental care, and some other vaccinations, even though the COVID-19 vaccination is free. Thanks, you can move on to the next slide. So it's important that you register with a local doctor or a general practitioner, so we call them GPs here, where you live, on campus or at your student medical centre. To do this, you'll need your passport, student identification, proof of address and a photograph. NHS services may differ across the 4 nations, so do make sure that you're looking at the relevant advice for the part of the UK that you're studying in. Thanks, next slide. So the COVID-19 vaccine is available to international students in the UK. Anybody aged 18 or over in the UK is eligible regardless of your nationality or immigration status. So in order to get the vaccine once you arrive, you should register with your local doctor and get an NHS number. While registration with a GP is encouraged to access the vaccine, you can also request to book one as an unregistered patient through a local GP practice. So you don't have to be registered with a GP, but it is recommended. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. There's lots more information about the vaccine. There's some links on screen here, but do just search for the relevant part of the UK that you're studying in. So NHS Wales, England, NHS Scotland, England, Wales, or Northern Ireland. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. Just to touch on your personal safety. So the UK is a very safe country with low levels of crime and violence, but any concerns you have, do reach out to your university and they will be able to help you. There are some community police officers and campus-based security staff who can give you advice about personal safety, and make sure you attend the orientation course at your university for your briefing about keeping safe. Thanks, next slide please. In case of emergencies, call 999 from any telephones, that's including any mobile phone, and the police, fire and ambulance services can be contacted by using this number. If it's not an emergency, but you do need to speak to the police or other services, you can call 101, and any medical non-emergencies, call the NHS on 111. Thanks, you can move to the next slide. So finally, this is just the last bit to touch on. It probably sounds obvious, but do follow the local rules and national laws. The UK is proud to be a very diverse country, and we expect everyone to respect people of all cultures. Failure to follow laws could lead to a fine or a cancellation of your visa. So just a reminder to kind of stay within the rules and, but you know, have the best time. And I hope you enjoy your university experience in the UK. I think that's it from me. Thanks, Lissy.
Thank you, Kitty. I would now like to introduce Ms. Vivian. She is the Customer Account Manager from UK Visas and Immigration, and Vivian's going to share with us the latest updates on visa and travel matters. Over to you, Vivian.
Thank you, Lissy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Before I start the session, I would like to thank British Council for inviting UK Visa and Immigration and for organizing this event. I'm Vivian Yu. I'm a UKVI Customer Account Manager based in Beijing. And in today's event, we'll talk about student routes, UK Visa application process, options after studies, support for students during COVID-19. At the end, I will share some useful links. Here we start. First, let's find out who needs to apply for a UK student visa. As the UK left the EU and the transition period has ended, apart from British nationals, all international students, including European nationals coming to study in the UK, will need to apply under the student route. The gov.uk website also has a tool for individuals to check if they need a visa to the UK by completing a short questionnaire. You will find out if you need a visa and also know about what kind of visa you need. Okay, next slide. And next one. Here's the UK visa issued status for last financial year. The UK granted about 250,000 sponsored study visas globally, and among this, UK granted 1,595 sponsored study visa to Singaporean nationals. And next slide, please. Here is the visa application process. There are 3 steps to apply UK visa. First, you need to get confirmation of acceptance of studies, which we call CAS. After you got CAS, you can start to prepare documents online or offline. I will explain what documents you need later. And second step is applying for your visa. Apply for your student visa on our gov.uk website. International students staying in the UK for more than 6 months are required to pay for health surcharge. We also call the IHS fee, which is £470 per year. You also need to pay visa fee online, which is £348. After the paying for the relevant fees, you will be redirected to our commercial partner VFS website for you to book an appointment, and you can upload your documents. You may also choose additional services provided by VFS on their website. Last step is go to VAC, which is Visa Application Center. On the day of appointment, please bring confirmation of appointment and print out the checklist. At the VAC, you will then submit your passport and the biometrics. You may choose to ask VAC to help to scan and upload your documents. If you wish to do so, please follow the instructions provided on the VAC's website, and you need to pay extra fee. The standard processing time of a student visa application is 15 working days. However, if you wish for a quicker processing time, you may use our priority visa service. Okay, next slide. This slide will show you a summary of the documents required for a student visa. The first is the ATAS. Some courses will require the student to provide the ATAS certification, which is Academic Technology Approval Scheme certificate. It will tell you whether you need to provide an ATAS certification or not on your CAS. So if you need, you can just check ATAS website and request for the certification online. The link of the ATAS I will share at the end of my presentation. And next one is if the student is under 18 years old, will need a consent letter from the parents. And the proof of parents-child relationship means birth certificate. And next is the evidence of funds. You are not required to include the evidence finance and the qualification with the EU visa application. However, UKVI can request for the evidence while your application is being considered. So please ensure that these requirements are met. Next is the other documents listed on the CAS. So just please recall carefully and prepare everything they ask you to do on the list. And next, if you have the BRP card, the previous BRP card, you can just provide. But if you don't have it, so you just don't need to bother. Last is for a document is not in English or Welsh, the applicant must provide a fully certified translation. Next slide, please. The UK has one visa application center in Singapore. Here's the address. I'll be showing a list of useful links at the end of the presentation, including the website of VFS. You can find more useful information and the full list of services provided by VFS. Okay, next slide. Here we talk about student visa. Next slide, please. As you know, on the 5th of October last year, we opened the student route and the child student route. The student route improves on the previous Tier 4 route, making it simpler and more streamlined, creating clearly pathways for students, and ensuring the UK remains competitive in a changing global education market. We continue to welcome international students. We place no limit on their numbers, and we remain committed to increasing the number of international higher education students in the UK to 600,000 by 2030, as set out in government's international education strategy. There are 3 changes in the new route. The first is allowing greater ability to apply for further leaves as a student in the UK, including study at any student sponsor type and at any level. The second is giving prospective students overseas the option to apply for a UK student visa up to 6 months in advance for their course's start date. In the past, 3 months, now is 6 months. And the third is removing the study time limits for all students on postgraduate courses. The 8-year limit on studying courses at postgraduate level has been removed, but there is still a 5-year limit for degree level courses. Okay, next slide. You should check the visa route. If you want to apply a student visa, you need to be at least 16 years old and have been offered a place on a course by a licensed education institution. If you are under 18 years old and you wish to study at an independent school, you may be qualified for a child student visa. Next slide, please. The student visa applicants from the countries listed are qualified for differential evidence arrangement. Like Singapore, if you qualified to apply under this evidence arrangement, you are not required to include the evidence finance and the qualification with your visa application. As I said previous, UKVI can request for the evidence while your application is being considered. So please ensure that all these requirements are met. Next slide. Now we'll discuss the next step after your visa has been decided. If you will be issued a 30 days or 90 days visa, and you will get a BRP letter. Then you may start to prepare to travel. Check what you need to do before you leave for the UK. And the third is you will need to enter the UK within the validity of your 30 or 90 days visa. And the fourth is collect the BRP card as instructed on the BRP letter within 10 days on arrival, or now is after the self-isolation period. Next, please. You might be wondering if you are allowed to work while studying in the UK. Students on a full-time course at degree level, RQF level 6 or above, sponsored by a UK recognized body, are allowed to work 20 hours per week during term time and full-time during vacation. This will also show on your BRP card. Okay, next one. Now we discuss the much-awaited graduate route. The UK has a world-leading education sector and welcomes talented and high-potential students to universities, further education, and English language college every year. The graduate route provides an opportunity for international students who have been awarded their degree to stay in the UK and work or look for work at any skill level for 2 years or 3 years for PhD graduates. The graduate route is an unsponsored route. That means you don't need a job offer to apply for the route. You'll be able to work flexibly, switch jobs, and develop your career in the UK as required. The graduate route is available to international students who have completed a degree at undergraduate level or above at a higher education provider with a track record of compliance, and who have a valid Tier 4 or student visa at the moment of application. The graduate route is non-extendable and does not count towards settlement. However, graduates who find an appropriate job and meet the requirements will be able to switch into skilled worker visa, which is a route to settlement. Okay, next slide. Here are some other options for students after their studies in the UK. First, if a graduate is offered a full-time work by a licensed sponsor, then he can apply to the skilled work visa. And if a graduate is offered a temporary work, such as internship or short training, then he can apply to the temporary worker visa up to 24 months. And the third is the startup visa. If a graduate wants to set up an innovative business in the UK, and this must be something that different from anything else on the market, you must be endorsed by an authorized body that is either a UK higher education institution or a business organization with a history of supporting UK entrepreneurs. Okay, next slide. This is moving to the impact of COVID-19 and the measures in place to support students. The government's response to this global pandemic has always been and continue to be informed by scientific advice. We have put in place a wide range of temporary measures to ensure users of the immigration system are supported fully. We have been clear that no student will be penalized due to circumstances outside their control related to COVID-19. There are 4 of the measures in place to support the students. The first is distance learning. Students are permitted to take distance learning under current exceptional circumstances. Second is eligibility for the graduate student who began their studies in autumn 2020 will now have to enter the UK before 27 September 2021 in order to be eligible for the graduate route. Third is veneer replacement. Students whose 90-day visa to travel to the UK has expired can request a 90-day visa. Customers who need to replace an expired 90-day veneer can visit our website to submit application. I will share the link at the end of my presentation, and the cost of replacing an expired 90-day veneer is £54. And last is the absence. COVID-19 related absence will not count against the students and the education providers. It will not affect applying for work visa or permanent residence in the future. Next slide, please. Here are some important reminders. UKVI remain the right to request applicants to the student route to submit full set of documents through random sampling. You don't need to provide finance evidence when you apply student visa, but if UKVI requests you to provide the evidence, make sure the deposit funds in your account at least 28 days before you pay your visa application fee online. The deposit funds should including the first year tuition plus 9 months maintenance. If you lost your BRP card and apply for a replacement, please report the loss with the UKVI and include the evidence showing you have reported the loss with your application on BRP website. Also, I will provide the link to BRP website later. The standard processing time for student visa is 15 working days. If you have less than 15 working days for the visa process, please consider priority service. The students who began their studies in autumn 2020 and the students who began their studies in January or February this year will need to be in UK by 27 September 2021 in order to be eligible for the graduate route. Okay, next slide, please. This slide will show you where to find veneer transfer information on the gov.uk website. And the right option to choose when you get to the online application page. Kindly note that the processing time for veneer transfer is still 15 working days. To continue supporting customers traveling to the UK, we are extending the 90-day veneer offer for new applications. They will provide customers with an increased time frame in which to travel. Okay, next slide, please. Now we talk about the service. Next slide, please. Here are some of the Visa Application Center premium services available at the Singapore VAC. Those in bold are the most popular services. There are also packages especially designed for customers for your convenience. For the full list of services, please check the VFS website shown on the screen. Next, please. Here is some useful links. The first one is the guidance for the student route before the pandemic is the general guidance. And the second is the approved IELTS centers. If you need, you can check their website. And next is the BRP card. website. As I said, if you have lost your BRP card or the information on the BRP card is wrong, you can just contact them through this website. Next is the Visa Application Center. You can make the appointment there and also find more additional services. The next is the veneer transfer. If you need to extend your veneer, then you can log on this website. Next is the guidance for the student route under the pandemic. Is during the COVID-19, what the specific policy for this time, you can check on this website. And the last one is the travel advice on COVID-19. It's the one I think Kitty already talked about. So I would highly suggest the student to check the last two websites very often, because they will have the latest policy on student route and also go to UK. Okay, next. Yep, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. It's now time for us to hear from Mr. Darren Xiao. He's the president of the United Kingdom Singapore Students' Council, or UKSSC. And Darren's going to speak to us today about how you can be part of the Singaporean student community, both on and off campus. Over to you, Darren.
Thank you, Lucy. Hi, everyone. I'm Darren. I'm the president of the United Kingdom Singapore Students' Council. Right, so very quickly, just to cover what we do. So our vision and mission. So our vision is to foster a vibrant Singaporean student community in the UK. And our mission is to promote inter-society interactions and collaborations between students, and to also represent the interests of the Singapore students residing in the UK. Right, so this is my team. So there's myself in the center, and all around me are my 6 other colleagues who manage and really work really hard to provide information and also further the interests of students such as myself and also you. Right, so just very quickly on the 4 modes of operation which the UKSSC does to support our students. So first one is very much what we are doing right now, to integrate Singapore students. So for some of the students, you may have seen us at some of our pre-university institution visits. We also have just conducted our Pioneer Student Insider session in May, and that garnered over 450, and maybe some of you are in the audience today as well. And also, we also have our pre-departure brief, which is happening right now. And we also focus on connecting students with SingSocs, which I'll cover a bit more on later. We also focus on inter-uni bonding events. So rather than just within your own university, we also promote inter-university bonding. And so we also have our regional leaders meeting, where we discuss inter-SingSoc collaborations, and we also arrange regional dinner and lunch meetups when possible in the UK and in Singapore as well. We also provide lots of guidance and support for students, especially in the past year for COVID-19 guidance, and we work with entities such as the Singapore High Commission in London and also the Singapore Global Network, which will be covered later, to provide apt and very quick responses on COVID-19 policy, which changes every day. We also work closely with British Council, who has very kindly arranged for this event for all of you. Yeah. And finally, we also have understand that the best gift that we can also give to our students is also meaningful career opportunities post-graduation. So we also work to secure strategic sponsorships, and we also promote choice career opportunities for our students. And also I'll cover a bit more on our upcoming event, which is also a pioneer initiative to connect you with, and also for you to understand the different opportunities available to you. So to me, when I first went to the UK, I think it was a very, very daunting experience. I mean, everybody was new. You suddenly became a minority in a whole new environment that you had no idea how to navigate. But I think what really helped in my integration was me joining my SingSoc. So I'm from the University of Warwick. So Warwick SingSoc was very kind to have initiation events and also lots of bonding events to get to know and also have a sense of home away from home, right? So SingSocs are really just student-led organizations for integrating the Singapore student community at the individual university level, and also basically they provide bonding events within the university for you year-round. They also ensure that they try to get exclusive uni-level career opportunities for your university, and also targeted school or course-specific information and guidance, because they are the people who will have the most relevant information for that university. Right, so this is there's too many, but we are really connected with over 30 different Singapore societies all across the UK, including Greater London, Midlands, North and South and Scotland. So we are really the one-stop hub for you to really connect and get into contact with students who are already studying in the universities. We also, apart from SingSocs, also have connections with other affiliates such as alumni groups. So you may see some of your schools here, and they also continue to foster a very strong network for all their alumni. And also we have interest groups down to the subject level, such as the Singapore Medical Society of the UK, SMS UK, and also for law students, the United Kingdom Singapore Law Student Society. Here are some of our very key partners. So right now our sole corporate sponsor is Shopee. And also from government entities, we have the High Commission of the Republic of Singapore, which is under MFA. We have Singapore Global Network, which is under EDB, and we also have, of course, British Council. So very proud and very excited to announce this event. So on the 21st of August 2021, and mark it on your calendars, we are initiating this very first event called the Through the Generations event. So basically the whole point of this event is to create a culture of paying it forward. So we are inviting Singaporean alumni from UK universities, which will be you in the future, right, to share their experiences and tips in finding new careers and to inspire the current batch of Singaporeans in UK universities, which can also include you. So I hope that you can join us for this pioneer event to learn from your seniors and also to ask for any career advice and opportunities from the seniors that are currently working in the workforce. Updates on this will definitely be on our social media outreach, and we'll cover all these channels later. But just remember, 21st of August, right? Right, so this is our social media outreach. We have a Telegram channel which you are free to join, and definitely you can ask any queries and we push information and the latest updates to you, right? We also have our website, which I'm really glad to announce that if you go to the website right now, we have a page, we have uploaded a pre-departure document catered towards students. So we have covered quite a lot of information today. If you want to have a very good handbook for you to understand what to pack, what to prepare, then you can go to our website, and we will constantly update this pre-departure document. So you can go there right now and download a copy, but we will continue to update it, and we also encourage you to also keep abreast with latest updates from official government websites such as GovUK and UKVI for visa information. We also have our Instagram and Facebook, and also if you have any pertinent and very important emails queries, please just email me at president@UKSSC.co.uk. So again, most important, really encourage you to join our Telegram chat, and also please go to our website and and get a copy of the pre-departure document. Right. That's all I have for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Darren. I'm sure the students who've joined us today, as well as their parents, would be very happy, very reassured to know that they'll have friendly faces when they arrive on campus. And just following up with that notion of friendly faces, let me now invite Ms. Bao Hui Huang, Regional Director of the Singapore Global Network, to tell us more about how our students can remain connected to the wider Singaporean overseas community while they're all away from home. Bao Hui, over to you.
Thank you very much, Lizzie. Hi, everyone. Pleasure being here this evening, and many thanks again to the British Council for having us here today. So I'm Bao Hui, Regional Director for UK and Ireland with the Singapore Global Network. And I'm here to briefly introduce who we are, what we do, and how you can be a part of our community. So for all of you in the audience here making to move into the UK, making their way into the UK rather, we have a very vibrant community of Singaporeans here who are really happy to support you through your journey. So as mentioned earlier, the Singapore Global Network, or SGN for short, is a division of the Singapore Economic Development Board. So we are a government entity, and we really are an international community of Singaporeans abroad, as well as what we call friends and fans of Singapore. And what we are about is about building meaningful and lasting relationships with individuals, partners, and community groups to widen and to strengthen this network. And to this end, what we do is to partner with a wide range of stakeholders, including British Council, for example, the UKSSC, as well as the various student societies in the UK and Ireland, as part of our effort to bridge communities. So I know it's very exciting and very nerve-wracking at the same time, navigating transitions and changes. This is where your respective Singapore societies and entities such as the Singapore Global Network can come into play to support you through the communities and the resources that we have to offer. So by joining the SGN, you'll be part of our growing community of Singaporeans all around the world. And some benefits to being a part of our network is that you'll get to access information and content on our platforms that will keep you updated on what's happening in Singapore, as well as COVID-19 guidance. You will get first dibs on our events and initiatives, including what's upcoming for National Day, as well as dialogue sessions with leading industry leaders, social events, networking, and so forth, which will be very helpful for you as you look to build your years here in the UK. And of course, we have resources for our members to stay connected to one another. So one particular initiative of interest, especially to our students, is actually the SGN funding program. I won't touch on this too much. You can find more details on our website, www.singaporeglobalnetwork.gov.sg. But essentially, the funding program is a fund that supports ground-up initiatives by organizations or individuals and celebrate connections and community with Singapore. Yep. So that's just a really quick overview of who we are and what we do at SGN. Please do connect with us to stay in touch. Visit our website once again, www.singaporeglobalnetwork.gov.sg to find out more about us. I've also included a link here to sign up, or you can use the QR code as well. And find us on social media. We are Singapore Global Network on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So before you embark on your journey to the UK, don't also forget to e-register with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Follow the Singapore High Commission in London on Facebook and Twitter for all your updates. The situation here is very fluid, so we highly recommend for you to do that. On this note, all the best to all of you as you embark on your journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bahwe. And again, another note of confidence for parents and for students that there are how did you put it? Families, friends, and not foes, fans in the UK for Singaporean students to remain connected with the community. And now for our final speaker for today. I'd like to introduce Mr. Guan Chung Lee. He's Assistant Vice President at HSBC Bank Singapore Limited. Guan Chung is going to share with us some useful information about setting up a bank account. And I see a lot of questions have been coming through in the chat about this. So I'm sure that Guan Chung will be able to provide some of these answers. Setting up a bank account and other financial services that you need to know as you're moving into the UK. Over to you, Guan Chung.
Good evening, everyone, students and parents. So firstly, congratulations to all of you who have managed to obtain admission into your university of choice. And of course, the very best of luck to the rest of you who are still waiting the good news. So it must be really exciting times for you, I'm sure, but I hope it's not due to because you finally get to be far away from your parents. So my name is Guan Chung from HSBC, and today I'll be taking you through on how HSBC can help manage your finances and banking needs for your transition journey into the UK. Just a quick disclaimer, today's sharing is not a personal recommendation, just take it for general advice only. So why HSBC? So unlike our namesake, right, Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank, we're actually a UK headquartered bank, and we operate as a major local retail bank there with easily accessible branches and ATM network as well. So we are the only bank with retail presence in both Singapore and UK, which means that opening and linkage of your accounts, transferring of funds between your accounts is a really seamless process through our mobile banking platforms. So based on the Q&A that I've seen just now, one of the top voted questions is if you can open a HSBC UK account from Singapore. The answer is indeed yes. You can set up your HSBC UK account from Singapore and have everything ready for you when you arrive in the UK. So this is really a simple process which can be done by first opening a Singapore HSBC bank account, followed by a UK bank account through a service that we call the International Banking Centre. So another of the question that was asked is, what is the benefits? Whether is it necessary to set up the UK bank account in Singapore? And indeed, yes, there are many benefits to do so. So take, for example, you have a debit card or even a supplementary credit card ready for immediate use when you arrive in the UK, right? There's no need to carry as much cash when you first arrive. I think that's really important for your safety. There's no need to go to a bank branch. You can avoid any delays, due to unfortunate cases of quarantine, for example, no waiting time at the branches, the uncertainty of documents that you may require, or even the sudden influx of students during this period of university admission. So for parents as well, you can feel at ease to know that your child would have money for daily expense upon arrival. And at any point of time, you can easily send the money across to the UK for them. So lastly, you might just wonder, right, why must you have a Singapore bank account? So that is actually to help you manage your foreign exchange needs and utilize free money transfers between your Singapore and your UK bank account. And that's something I'll share with you in the next couple of slides. All right, so through the Singapore HSBC account, we call it the Everyday Global Account. It helps you with your foreign exchange and fund transfers, and it is made really simple through our mobile banking applications and accounts. So for starters, with this Everyday Global Account, it gives you access to 11 major currencies, and more importantly, of course, the UK pound as well as maybe euros, in case you want to make that quick trip across the channel during your term break. And this account comes with a debit card, which means that you can access free withdrawals from almost all HSBC ATMs globally, as well as the Singapore HSBC account helps, you can use it to convert your Singapore dollars to UK pounds before transferring the UK pound over to your HSBC UK account. All this is done via something we call the Quick FX app. And it allows you to view and perform instant transfers between your HSBC accounts. And it also has functions to help you to keep up to date with the latest rates, as well as even set alerts to help you to convert at your preferred rate. So this is an additional app on top of our updated and very easy to navigate HSBC mobile banking app. So the common question year after year is what is the cheapest way to transfer money over to the UK? So the good news is with HSBC, our international transfers are free. So just 3 scenarios that you can see here. Example 1, if you are a student with a HSBC Singapore and HSBC UK account under your name, transfers would be free between your accounts. Scenario 2, if your parent have a HSBC Singapore account and you have a HSBC UK account, they can also transfer to you for free. And the last scenario, if for some reason you decide not to go for a HSBC UK account, but you still have a HSBC Singapore account, which is the Everyday Global account, you are still able to transfer without any charges from HSBC Singapore. But please take note, there will be charges from the intermediary or receiving bank. So of course, scenario 1, scenario 2, having a HSBC account in both Singapore and UK is the ideal choice. So I would say our transfers would be one of the most efficient because they are almost immediate, as well as the cheapest because in 2 scenarios it's actually free of charge. So in order to make full advantage of the free transfers and the pre-departure setup, you have to first set up the Singapore account first. So it's either a HSBC Premier or HSBC Personal Banking account. Main differences between the accounts I have bolded over there. Parents who actually have a Premier relationship with us, existing Premier customers, they can extend Premier privileges to their children without any top-up of total relationship balance. And that really helps because, importantly, the pre-departure account opening services would be waived for Premier customers. So that is $150 savings for the pre-departure account service. Otherwise, there is a fee to pay for if you are under the personal banking proposition. Premier customers can also get exclusive foreign exchange rates, as well as something that we call emergency encashment. This helps if in an event of an emergency, your child needs some cash, they can actually go to any HSBC branch to make a encashment. All right, so for both the personal and premier account, there is also the important services such as free transfers as well as the foreign exchange tools. They are available to both premier and personal banking customers. Okay, so we have lined up some promotions for you at this webinar today. So there are welcome rewards, there are sign-up gifts, and they're all exclusive, only available through this pre-departure webinar. So as you can see on the left would be for HSBC Premier, it's up to $700 cash credits for Premier, and for personal banking is $80. And for existing Premier customers, if you're already a Premier customer, you can invite your spouse or, in this case, your children on board to receive attractive rewards from us as well, up to $300 cash credit and a free stay at Mandarin Oriental Singapore. So by getting your child on board as a HSBC Premier customer, he or she can then take advantage of the free pre-departure account opening services and all the other Premier privileges which I mentioned earlier on. Okay, I hope that what I shared is informative. The message here is really simple, right? Let us help you with your banking needs in the UK. If anything is unclear or you need any advice, one-to-one, just scan that QR code and send us an inquiry, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And the great thing is that we are just giving away a $10 grocery voucher just for sending in any inquiry. So there's no obligation, all right? Whether you pick up any of our services or products, just send an inquiry to ask a question, and you'll receive that $10 grocery voucher. All right, Lizzie, back to you.
Thank you, Guan Chung. This now brings us to the Q&A section of today's webinar. Now, several questions have been coming through, and I can see that the speakers have been responding to these questions as well. So in the interest of time, I'm going to start picking up on those which were most liked, and then I'll direct them towards the speaker who could best answer that question. The first, which I can answer myself, is whether this session is being recorded and whether the participants would be able to view it later on if they needed to leave halfway through. Yes, the session is being recorded, and yes, if you've registered with us and you've given us consent to contact you afterwards, we will be sending you a recording of the session. We'll also be sending you other e-resource packs, other key information that you will need, which will be useful to you as you're preparing for your journey. Let me start with questions about vaccinations, I suppose. And either Kitty or Vivian, if you could just give a little information to students who are asking about if they had to take booster shots of vaccination. So Singapore is vaccinating students, and students might have taken both their doses. Kitty, I'm going to direct this to you.
Yeah, that's fine.
So if they've taken both their doses, what happens if a booster shot is later required? How do they go ahead with that?
Well, I mean, everything's all sort of in development at the moment. If you've had your 2 vaccinations in Singapore, then that should cover you for the kind of immediate future. But just rest assured that, if you do need a booster shot in the UK, once you're there, you will be able to get one. International students are very much able to access the vaccine in the UK. So if you do need a booster shot, you will be able to get one. I'm not sure on what vaccinations Singaporeans are using. I'm sorry, I'm not completely up to date with that. But either if you need a booster, it will either be the vaccine that you got in Singapore, or if we don't offer that same vaccine here, it'll be the most similar one available. So I think that covers. Does that cover the question, do you think?
Yes, I should think so. Thanks, Kitty. And the vaccinations here are the ones which are approved are Moderna and Pfizer. So those are the 2 vaccinations that we use.
Yeah, those are available in the UK then as well. So
there's another question, which again, Kitty, is going to come to you. Could we get a list of NHS GP clinics near our university in the event that we need to get a test?
Yes, I mean, in terms of NHS clinics, Is that for the post-departure testing? Do you think that question is about? Because I've linked to it in the chat a few times, but there is a website on gov.uk where you can find a local testing centre for the test for when you arrive in the UK, and that's got to be booked before you depart. So just make sure that you book that for where you'll be on your second day after arrival. In terms of local NHS clinics, there'll be lots around your university or where you'll be living. So you just need to go onto the NHS website and find your local one.
Thank you, Kitty. Vivian, I'm going to send a couple of questions to you. So there have been a few questions around the tuberculosis tests, some from Singaporeans who are just requiring some clarification whether they would need to take they would need to show evidence of a TB test. And there's also a question from non-Singaporeans. For example, someone has posted in who's an Indian national, but has been living in Singapore for the past 7 years. So just requiring again, would they be required to have a TB test as part of the visa application?
No, as the Singaporean don't need to provide the TB test. And if you stay in Singapore more than 6 months, you don't need to provide as well.
All right, thank you.
Pardon?
There's another question again, and you might have answered this, but maybe you could just expand it for people who might not be following what's up on the chat. How long does it take for a visitor visa for parents who are accompanying their students? And can the appointments be made directly in Singapore as well through the VACs that you mentioned?
Yeah, for the visitor visa, it's also 15 working days, same the time as the student visa. And the difference is just you apply online for the visitor visa and then provide some documents. And it's basically very simple, and it will be very quickly.
Thank you. Darren, there's a question for you. Can freshers apply to UKSSC? Or could they apply as an understudy?
Absolutely. So, I mean, like we don't have any like registration for members or anything. As long as you're Singaporean and you're studying in the UK, you're automatically under our purview, and we will definitely try to further your interests. Right. So you can just join in the conversation, and we will give you updates on our Telegram channel and also our social media pages. The understudy thing is a new thing that we are trying out. Right. So if you're interested to know more about how we work, and maybe you're interested to maybe like join our organization afterwards, then you can also find that link on our Telegram page and you can join. All right.
Just stay there then, Darren. From your own experiences, there's this question that I found really interesting. What are the first few days like just after arriving in the UK? If they arrive early, classes have not begun, what are the first few days like? What did you do when you were in the UK?
Well, the first few days, that I mean, I was still blessed with the time where it wasn't COVID, so I was with my family. So we went around to see the sites. But I would say, the most important thing is just really being very open to trying out new things, and don't be too afraid. Everybody in the UK is generally pretty friendly, and they will even say hi to you if you are just like very approachable. So don't worry too much. Just go in and just be open and speak to your friends, especially at university. All right.
Thank you, Darren. Kitty, there's a question regarding braces, and my son has just put braces, so that's something I'm partial to as well. If my daughter has braces and needs continued treatment in the UK, do we look for a private clinic or an NHS dentist? Will this be covered under NHS?
Yeah, I think I did respond to that in the chat. So with NHS dentists, there does tend to be a bit of a waiting list. So I would recommend potentially approaching a private clinic. I mean, when you arrive in the UK and you register with your GP, so your local doctor, you can ask them for advice about that, and they might be able to point you in the direction of some NHS services. It might be that there are some available, but I would advise probably looking into a private clinic for that. A lot of people in the UK end up paying for private dental treatment, even though it is available in the NHS. There just tends to be quite a lot of waiting lists. So if you're already undergoing dental treatment, then I'd perhaps recommend looking into private treatment.
Thanks, Kitty. Vivian, 2 questions for you. Does
Yes.
the bank statement have to be under the parent's name to show proof of evidence for funds?
If the student is under 18 years old, then they can provide the bank statements under their parent's name. If the student is above, like over 18 years old, well, they can also provide the parents' bank statement. But I also suggest the parents can save some money under the student's name. That is be easier. Otherwise, you will also need to provide the birth certificate with your family.
So you need to show proof that this person's actually your parent. That's what you mean. All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you. Guancheng, quick one for you. How long does it take to set up an HSBC account in Singapore?
Yeah, the process would take approximately 2 weeks from start to end, including getting the Singapore account set up and the UK account set up. So do factor in some time prior to your departure to go through the process.
Thank you. I'm not really sure who could answer this question, so maybe one of you please raise your hands. Is there a list of other vaccinations that students must take before departing Singapore?
No, there's no any request on the vaccine. Like you can take one, or you can take 0, or you can take both. But we'll fully recommended the student to finish all the vaccine process before they go to UK. And we don't recommend they took both vaccine in Singapore and in UK. There may be some conflict or anything.
So this was not specifically related to the COVID-19 vaccine, it's just any regular vaccines.
Oh, sorry. If that, well, I think they have the instruction from the hospital or the medical institution, like will suggest whether you can take this vaccine while you already take another one. So I think just follow their instruction.
All right. So, I mean, in the interests of time, I'm afraid that that's all that we have time for today, and we'll have to bring this discussion to a close. So on behalf of the British Council and all attendees, I'd like to thank our speakers for their valuable contribution. There's a lot of information that you've shared with our participants today, and I'm sure they're going to find that very useful. Could I just add a special note of thanks also to our official sponsor of today's event, Marsh Singapore Private Limited. We hope that you found today's webinar useful and informative. As I said before, we'll be sharing a recording of today's session to everyone who registered for the event, along with a resource pack with key information that will be of use to you. Again, as I mentioned before, you could stay on for a further 10 minutes if you want to pose any further questions about HSBC's banking services to Guangzhou. And if you have any questions following today's session, please contact the British Council. This is our email address, ukstudy@britishcouncil.org.sg. And you can also keep in touch with us on social media. So a final thanks to all our speakers and to all of you participants for your questions and your contributions. We wish you the very best with your studies. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All the best.
All right. Thank you, everyone.